All right, welcome to Learning R. So I'm going to be using REPL.it to do some R stuff, and this is just to make things easier and less stressful. I do have RStudio open as well, so if you're interested in watching that, or like if you're interested in following along and you're a little more experienced with applications like RStudio, definitely you can download that, follow along. It would probably be helpful to get a resource for that, but whatever. So you can easily just look it up online on the internet. So yeah, to get started with REPL, you will have to log in. So I think the best way to do that is to just put in whatever email you want, whatever password you want, sign in, or if you want to sign in through Google, GitHub, or Facebook for some weird reason, you can totally do that. I've already signed in and made things, so as you can see, there are a bajillion different languages that REPL knows how to deal with, and there might be a couple of limitations with this because, you know, this is a browser and it's not something like RStudio, so we're just gonna use it anyways. So I'm just gonna title this Learning R 1, and this is Basics and Logic. Create. So, okay, messed up the formatting a little bit. So for the most part, when you start up, you'll probably see something like this. You can adjust all of this however your heart desires, so I prefer having things stacked, and then I like the dark theme because it looks cool, and I like being a cool kid. Yeah, and there's a bunch of different things you can do with this, so just do that for now. I am curious if I can, I can't pull Iris. So I guess I would have to import that, but we'll do some basic code here. So if you are familiar with, like, if you tuned into the MATLAB session last week, a lot of the syntax is actually going to be pretty similar, so you can do like 5 plus 8, for example, and run it, and it should output a number. Are you going to output the number? Okay, I guess not. Okay, apparently it's just gonna be like that. Usually in R you can type in stuff like this and it'll output it for you. So I can do that actually here. So let's make a new script. So if I do 5 plus 8 in RStudio and I just run it, it'll output 13, which that's what 5 plus 8 is. So, and then if I do 5 times 3 and Control Enter just runs the command, that's a shortcut for RStudio. You can do basic arithmetic in R, and the reason it's not outputting it is because it's like expecting you to assign some variable to it. So if we do A equals 5 plus 8 and B, oh wait, another syntax thing. R likes having the arrow as like the assigning variables. So so the arrows and the equal sign are they serve the same purpose. Let's see if REPL likes it or not. Why? Oh. Is it getting mad 'cause you have to print it? I think that's why. So... yeah. So I think this is what you have to do. Yep, there you go. So... so what I had to do here was... I assigned 5 plus 8 to a variable called A, and 5 times 3 to a variable called B. So the computer did the math for me, but because I didn't tell it to do anything else, it's basically just storing it in some cloud space. So now, why is someone like shooting mortars like off in the background? This is so weird. Consequence of where I live, so if you want to see what A and B are, you have to tell R to print it. It's basically just saying, hey, tell me what is A and tell me what is B. Yeah. So that's pretty straightforward. Let's see. What are some other things to do? Oh yeah. Print. Oh. This should be case sensitive. Yep. So that is exactly right. R is case sensitive, so if you have like change this to apples and then make this apples, it will print when it matches exactly what the like what your variable name is. But if you capitalize any part of it, then it'll yell at you. So yeah, that's a thing. Yeah. So the takeaway of this is assign variables and print variables. So in R, the pound sign is used to comment. And I'm going to go through all of this super basic stuff pretty quickly because actually pretty similar to MATLAB. So if you're familiar with one, the other should be not as scary. Yeah, so I'm just going to blow through some of the basic arithmetic stuff that was covered in the Intro to MATLAB section, and then I'm going to get into some logic statements and the weird shenanigans that go on with that. So, if you are interested in that, can I coding website? I don't know what that means. Yeah, so, okay, let's see. I'm also like looking at a textbook called R for Data Science. It's online, and you can see like it basically walks you through a whole bunch of different things like importing data, strings, and all that, and all those weird shenanigans. So if you recall from the MATLAB stream, there was vectors, but in R they are called arrays. So this is let's see, I want to make sure I get the syntax for this right. Should be able to just do sequence. So I'm just gonna make a bunch of random variable names, so bear with me for this. So I'm just gonna say oranges equals sequence. You need a starting value and an ending value. So 1 is my starting value, 10 is my end value. I want to run just this line. I'm just gonna run the whole thing. Oh, it's getting mad because of this thing, so we're gonna comment that out and run it. Oh, remember, I have to print. That explains why it doesn't work. So, yeah, so when I said oranges is a sequence from 1 to 10, since I did not give it any, like, increments, it's just, its default incrementation is 1. So, default increment is 1. So, when I print it, it just goes by 1. So now if I were to do oranges is a sequence 1, 10 by 0.1. I think that's the correct syntax. Let's find out. Hey, we got an error. It doesn't know what to do with this. So, alright, let's, oh, is it called length out? That's gross. Well, let's try that and see what it does. Okay, well that didn't like that. If I do that... Okay. This is kind of an obnoxious way to do it. Like, this is where it starts getting a little different from MATLAB, where this length out thing is basically saying do, like, well, let's find out. I don't think that works here, so let's go here into RStudio and do question mark length dot out. Okay. Gimme the news. It's thinking. Gee, thanks. So in RStudio, you can do a question mark and then a command, and in the help page, it will give you, granted it's kind of like obnoxious text, but it'll tell you like what you can use, like what arguments you can use in the command. So for sequence, you can see you have to do equals for the different things. So you can see that length out is in here, so let's check and see what that is. The desired length of the sequence. Okay, that doesn't really tell me much. So we want this by statement. So we should be able to do 0.1. So the way this is structured is it's sequence from, to, by, and then the other stuff. With R, you don't have to do an equal sign. Well, I take that back. It depends on what you're doing. So if I try and run this, there we go. So all of this is the second sequence, oranges. So I think what I'm gonna do, to make this a little easier to see, because you have two of these next to each other, I'm going to add in some text. So text I'm gonna add is short array oranges, and then /n. I don't know if that does it right. No, I don't think so. Okay, so think you have to do that. No, it doesn't like it. Okay. You know what? We'll just get rid of that for now. That's not what I want. Go away. Okay. And then long array. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically saying put some text in front of the array that I've make, or the vector. Why did you not like that? Why are you being like this? You shouldn't have an issue with this. It might be having an issue with it because you might have to use a new print line. Okay, whatever. It doesn't like having multiple arguments in a print statement. So there is a way to format all of this. It's just kind of obnoxious to do, so just real quick, I'm gonna take all of this stuff into R here. Oranges equals, and the shorthand for that little equal sign is alt and then the minus character. At least in RStudio. I don't think that works here. Nope, it does not work in REPL, so this is an RStudio thing specifically. So 1, 10, increment 0.1, and then, you know what? Let's see what the print statement does. Let's see. That doesn't tell me a lot. Arguments. Okay, sure, whatever. So if I run this as is, it'll store a value to some variable called oranges, and I would have to say print oranges for it to output it. I should be able to do this here. I don't know why it's being a but let's find out. Okay, well, at least for now, you'll just have to put character strings and variable names in separate print statements, which is fine. So, make big. Make more big. There we go. I like seeing. So I'm sure you I'm sure you like seeing too. Alright, so let's see. Class of oranges will tell me, it should tell me I think this is what I had to do. Yeah. Okay, so the class command will tell you what is being stored in a variable. Says what is being stored in a variable. So if you have, I'm just gonna call this is logic equals true, and then I do print class is logic. The result I should get should be logical. Yep, logical. So it's like a true-false input is a logic statement, and this does have to be in all caps, otherwise it gets mad at you and doesn't actually consider it a logic statement. So you do have to put that in all caps. If I could type, that would work. So yeah, you can see that when I type it in all capitals, it changes colors. That just tells you that it's a logical statement. Now what I'm gonna do, make a new page. Well, not really a new page, but actually, I think this works. I think this will work better as a side-by-side, because then I can see more of the console. There we go. So, so that fancy little command I just did is called clear, and that will clear your console, but you can still say, oh, alright. I guess, at least in REPL, I guess by pressing clear, it clears your, by entering clear, it clears your variables as well. In R, I think it's also referred to as the global environment. So if I go into my global environment here, you can see that there's an array, well, I guess a vector called oranges. So if I press clear, if I type in clear, no, in RStudio it's a little different, but in REPL, if you type in, I know how to spell, if you type in clear, it should do the thing. So it should clear your console, it should clear all of your, like all of your variables. In RStudio, it's remove, yeah, it's a slightly more complicated, thing. In your console, you can also just press, I think it's Control L. Yeah, so Control L will clear the console, but not the global environment. I know how to spell. Yeah, so that's fine. Okay. Let's get into some logic statements. So, the classic logic statements are if, for, and while. So an if statement is, like if you've taken any, like, logic class ever, it will say, like, you're basically looking for a true or false condition. So, let's do, weather equals it's snowing outside, and temperature equals 31, and this is in Fahrenheit. Okay, so what we can do with an if statement is if, let's say temperature is less than 32, then print it's cold enough to snow. And then you can do, so if you do this by itself, it will It will run. I'm just trying to remember, like, if there's a... Okay, it didn't like that. Whatever. We'll just run this. So, this line here is saying it's cold enough to snow. Actually know how to solve, like, all of these issues. I can just comment out everything up above. I started a fire a while ago, but it's clearly died. Who needs a fire when you've got a stream? Stream is fire enough for me. Ha! Ha! And you joined just in time to hear that pun. Hey, Kaz on your side. Yeah, let's go. Getting smart. Also, I apologize, there's like a minute-long delay, so I apologize if I ramble a lot because it'll take me a while to like actually see what you are saying to me, so alright, so with the logic statements, I've not done anything with this weather command yet, but I have done something with temperature, so the if statement here is saying that if this condition is true, then print it's cold enough to snow. So if I run this, hey look, it's cold enough to snow. I can do else statement and say print it's not cold enough to snow. Okay, so, words. Okay, so I'm just dealing with temperature variable right now. Yes, so the arrow thing here is, syntax-wise, it's exactly the same as an equal sign. So you could do something like this, temperature equals 31, instead of temperature arrow 31, and R will understand it. It's, I guess, for starting out, it might make more sense to have the little arrow thing be used for variables, because when we get to functions, the equal sign comes into play a lot, so it's just a way to help like visually separate variables from functions. So either strategy works. If you're comfortable doing the equal thing, then go for it, but it does the same thing as an equal sign. Yeah, so okay, so if I add in an else statement. So this else statement is basically saying if the condition is false, print out something else. So if I run it, it should still be true, which it is. So now if I increase the temperature, now it'll say, whoa, it's not cold enough to snow. Yeah, so that's really all it's doing, and if I were to get rid of this and keep the temperature the same, then it should not output anything. So, Control Z. So an if statement basically says, if true, do, next line, if false, output nothing, or output else statement. Like, I think the best way to describe it is like, if the condition is false, then leave the if statement. So even though this else is in the same line as the ending if statement, you could do that and it would be fine. what is R actually used for? That's a good question. It's used in like data analysis stuff. So one of the things you can do, I'm gonna show off a little, is so a basic form of a thing you can do is this command. I can analyze data, so iris is a data set, and I can do plot iris. Yeah, so head of iris just tells me, it basically tells me like what column headers are in a table. And it gives me like a sample of what is in the table. And then if I do plot iris, let's make this a little bit bigger. I have to let this window resize. So what I can do with plot iris is it'll plot out, this is super easy to see as you can tell, but it will plot out different things more big. I think this is the biggest I can do. I don't know how much bigger I can make it. So it can plot out different things on the X and Y axis. So that's what each of these center things are doing. It's providing like an X axis to work with, like an X and Y axis. At least that's my understanding of it. Yeah, it is pretty cool. And there are... Whoop. Okay. No, that... Thank you. There are pretty cool, like, other things you can do. Like, I don't have the... I have my documents open. I think I messed up something with my graphics card because it's not like showing any of these tabs when I click on them, so yeah, there's like a sample of what you can do. There's a whole bunch of other stuff you can do. To get into more complicated stuff, there's different libraries such as tidyverse that can help like interpret and transform data. You can actually query websites and pull data from websites by creating a string in R. So I'll do that in here. Hi Angel! Yay! People! I'm excited! That's alright. This will be on my YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch it and it'll be fine. So like one of the things you can do, granted you would have to know the like the site you're looking for. Okay, good, this loaded in a different window. I'm pulling up a... Okay. Had to make sure there wasn't any, like, weird information on this. So this command, which is a little long and obnoxious, is the command to clear the environment. So that is where, like, all of your variables are being stored. Let's see. Aha! I can just use this for the rest of the logical statements. So you can actually test multiple conditions in an if statement. So if I go up to what I did here, I've got vector is it's a sequence from from 10 to 200, incrementing by 10. And then if I double check that that works, and then if I print vector, that's what happens. Type of vector, that's a command. The difference between double and single is really like, it's like how much storage can be, like how much can you store in a variable name. It's like a double can store like more decimal places and stuff like that than a single. There's not really clear documentation on what exactly those are. The length of vector tells you how many spaces are being occupied by the vector. So I think I may have mixed things up in here. I think I said these are arrays. Yeah, I mixed this up. So an array and a vector are technically the same thing. R just prefers to call them vectors because that's how R works. So yeah, okay. So I put notes in here to make this, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. It doesn't help a lot, but it does something. So in this if statement, I am asking if position 7 of my vector, if you want to count to position 7 here, then go for it. And the exclamation mark, it equals, means not equals. And then I'm just asking I'm asking the computer if position 7 in the variable name called vector not equal to 70. And an important thing to add here is that when you count the position of, like when you count spaces in a vector, the counting starts at 1. So like in some languages, the counting starts at 0. So like 10 would be position 0, 20 would be position 1, etc. But in R, it says 10 is position 1, 20 position 2, etc. So if position 7 not equal to 70 is a true statement, then the computer will print, wow, that's true. If the statement is false, and which means that position 7 does equal 70, then it should print, no, that's wrong. So if I run this, it prints out, no, that's wrong, which, funny enough, is correct. So why is it giving me all of this? That is a lot. Wow, that's a lot of warning messages. Why? Okay, well, I think it's getting mad at, I don't know. I don't know why it gave me this warning. I think it's just being weird. Okay. It did not give it a second time. Usually warnings can be ignored. It just depends on the warning. If it's something that's like an actual thing, yeah, clearly, since there's 6 instances of it. So if it's a warning, it's usually something that you can just effectively ignore. Like, it's just notifying you that something is weird about it, but it's not enough to stop the code. And something that would stop the code, it would tell you like error or something like that. So this doesn't like having position 0 because in a vector the counting starts at 1. So it has to be at least 1 to do something. So we'll run that again, position 6 is equal to 60, not 70, which is true, so it prints, wow, that's true. So with multiple statements, so some warnings be ignored or all, it's definitely worth checking if the warning is like something important. I think this was just being weird. I actually don't know why invalid graphic state. To be honest, I have no idea what this error is. For the most part, I think you can ignore warnings, but I would definitely check to see what the warning is. I think the key thing to look for is, does it stop your code and does it mess up your results? And if one of those is true, then you should go and like double check to make sure that the warning is reasonable, or like basically just double check and see if it's anything that you can ignore or if it's something you should look into. So yeah. So what I could do is I could just put this in Google and see what comes up, but I'm not going to do that because I'm lazy, so some of the other conditional statements that you can do is the AND condition. So that is the ampersand, and that is basically saying both conditions have to be true for this statement to be printed. So position 7 is exactly equal to 70, and 5 plus 7 is exactly equal to 12. And I phrase it as is exactly equal because there is a difference between this and this. So a single equal is it's like an assignment operator, and double equals is like it has to equal this and nothing else. That being said, you cannot do... I don't think it'll let me do this. Yeah, it doesn't like that, so because it's considering it like I am, what the computer is thinking right now is I am referencing, or I'm trying to reference some pre-existing thing called apples, and there is nothing existing right now called apples. But if I do a single equal sign, then you can see up in my global environment that, yeah, okay, so, so if both statements are true, it'll print out the true condition. If one of these is false, it will not output anything because I do not have an else statement. This is the OR condition. I did not think to grab water before I started the stream, it's fine. Oh god, I just scrolled. So this bar is an OR statement saying that either of these can be true, but it is not inclusive. So both conditions do not have to be true for this to be printed, and I can show that. So, but if both conditions are false, then it does nothing. Yeah, so hydration is important. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll get water when the stream ends, which will be soon. Yeah. So I guess, like, a very complicated thing that you can do in R is, so all of this fun stuff here is stuff that I did for an assignment for class, and this is basically just saying, make a map of a location of my choosing and throw data on top of it. So I think the first time I run this is going to be a little weird. So the libraries are necessary for this. Is this something you all want to see, or should I like go ahead and do it? Cue that awkward pause as I wait for a response. Since there's like a 30-second stream delay. So I guess in the meantime, while I'm waiting for an answer, I can do some of the other statements. So a for statement basically says, can repeat the live cut. Alright. Why are you getting mad at that? What? Why are you mad at that? That is correct. Are you just getting mad because that was there? Oh, okay, I think it was. That was weird. Let's see. I think that's how that command works. I know I did a loop down here. Yeah, so a for statement says, do this a certain number of times, and this is round I. So if I run this, it should say, like, this is round 1, this is round 2, this is round 3. Oh, I guess not. Okay, am I just bad at this? Okay, I'm just bad at this. I don't think I ever made it print anything down here, so let's see. I don't know why it's being weird, it's just being weird. Alright, well, we're just gonna do that then. So if I run this, that's kind of a weird way to do it, but so what it did was it printed this is round and then whatever iteration of I it was for the number of times, basically for like 1 to 10. So it ran this 10 times. I think a good way to do it is actually just say print I. So yeah, so that's all a for loop does. It just says do this for as many times as I tell you. And then a while loop is a little weird in that, yes, I know you're getting mad at that. A while loop says, like, as long as this is true, do this. So let's call vector 7 and say assign it. Yeah, that could work. Let's assign it 80. So if I do this, yep, so I rewrote position 7 to equal 80. Let's see. Vector, shoot. I don't actually remember how to do while loops. What? Oh my gosh, okay. Well, it doesn't like that. I'm trying to remember the syntax for a while, but you can basically say, like, do this as long as a condition is true. I equals I times 10. Oops. This is how I break my computer, because I don't know if this is gonna work. We'll find out. It didn't like that. Why did you not like the end bracket? What? Okay, whatever. Alright, well, at the very least, you know what a while, like, you know contextually, no, conceptually, not contextually, conceptually what a while loop does. A while loop is a little tricky to, like, to work with. If you're gonna work with conditional statements, the two that are, I think, the best to work with, essentially factors on any despicable me. It's amusing that I get that reference. So, I would say the two logical statements that would be the most, like, worthwhile to use would be if and for. If you are going to use statements, I look for the name of the movie. Oh, wow. Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about while loops too terribly much. I would just do if statements and for statements, because those are the easiest to work with. These statements are also applicable in MATLAB. The syntax in MATLAB is a little different, but we'll cover that next week. So, yeah. Let's see, is there anything else that I want to cover on this? Everything involves importing libraries. So, like, basic R can do a good number of things. Whoops. If you want to get into, like, the nitty-gritty analysis stuff, like, you would have to start downloading libraries. So, yeah. I think I'll stop that there for now. If you enjoyed this video, do drop a like, subscribe if you desire, link to my Twitch channel in the description. Thanks.